Hey guys, welcome back at the Thisissoul Skate Shop YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna make a video all about frame mounting bolts. We have the biggest collection of frame mounting bolts of any shop in the world. So if you want to learn more about this topic and know what a good bolt and a bad bolt is, check out this video. Alright, we are here in our skate shop in Amsterdam. So if you ever look for a good skate shop, you can always travel to Amsterdam and check us out right here. We also have a web shop, of course, thisissoul.com, where you can find any hardware related question, answer and product all there presented for you. If you want to buy anything else except for just bolts, of course, we also have skates and clothing, backpacks, everything that you need as a skater. We pride ourselves that we have a lot of technical data about all the different hardware in our store. For all the topics, we have an entire YouTube video just like this. So this one is about frame mounting bolts, but if you want to learn any other topics, just check out our website thisissoul.com and check out the videos there, or go to our YouTube page and find all the videos there as well. There's much to learn. In this video, I'm gonna describe all the different technical aspects. So there's the thickness of the head, the length, and all sorts of different little things that make a good frame mounting bolt and a bad frame mounting bolt. Let's start with the diameter of the head. You maybe think that this is not an important thing, but in some frames, like for example this 50/50 frame, you're not even able to put in a frame mounting bolt with a big head. So that's why on our website, thisissoul.com, if you buy some frame mounting bolts, it's also listed what the diameter is for the bolt that you want to buy. So it's not always as important, but in general, I would say pick a bolt with a nice big head, something like 13 to 15 millimeters or something, starting at like smallest one that you should take is like 10 millimeters. And if you have anything 10 or below, I would recommend definitely using a washer. A washer is always actually good. So if you can use a washer on your frame, I would recommend it, especially if you have room for it on a plastic frame. So usually plastic frames are used for aggressive skating. If there's room for a washer, then use it, because I've seen multiple frames crack right in the middle on the place where the frame is mounted to the boot, and this will be prevented with the washer. On some frames though, there's no room for a washer, like a wish frame, because the tolerances are so narrow there. If you put in a washer, the bolt will be closer to the wheel and the bolt will rub on the wheel, so it's not good. One of the most important topics if you're talking about frame bolts is what kind of thread they are. So you have different diameters. That's the first aspect of the thread, is the diameter. And you can easily measure the diameter that you need by taking one of the used bolts that you already have. And you got a measuring tool like this, and you just put it over a bolt and you measure the outside diameter. And for example, this one that I'm measuring right now, it says 5.8 something. And so that's close to 6. So that means that it's M6, and the M here stands for metric. It's a metrical standard bolt, and it's quite funny, but it's the number that you're measuring is always a few percent smaller than that the metrical number is. So if you have like an M4 bolt, it will list something like 3.9 is if you measure it. That's just how it is. Almost all skates on the market use M6 bolts for their frame mounting, so that's quite easy, you think, but there's a few exceptions, and these exceptions are getting more popular and more popular, so it's also more relevant for me to talk about it. And those brands are namely the FR brand, the Micro brand, and the Fila skate brand. They tend to use the M7 bolts. For FR, it's a little bit complicated because for some skates they still use M6, and also for some frames they use M7. Oh, one more is Seba, of course. Seba also uses M7 sometimes. On our website, I have a more detailed list of all the specific models that use an M7. So if you're browsing for an M7 bolt, there's a complete list of all the specific models that use an M7, so that you can never get the wrong bolt, to make it easy for you. Another good way to find the right type bolt for your skate is to go to our website and to go to the parts section, of course. And then there's a big list in our Skatepart Finder tool. This is a big project that I announced in a previous vlog or a couple of weeks ago. It took a lot of work, but we made an overview of every specific skate and with a list of what aftermarket products all fit on those skates. Because let's say if you have an FR skate, not only FR products fit on FR skates, so maybe like a power slide frame will also fit on an FR skate, or so different brands fit on different skates. And if you want to have an overview for that, you go to that specific model page, and there you will also find what type of mounting bolt will fit on your boots. So to make it easy for you, you can also find it on our website like that. The Skatepart Finder tool, check it out. If we're talking about metric 6, like M6 or M7 standards, there's within those standards, there's different pitch. And pitch is the amount of edges that a thread has. So a thread can go really shortly and has a lot of rotations, or it can be more wider and have fewer edges and like a slow rotation. There's like a standard way to do it. So all the M6 skates that use M6 frame mounting bolts have the standard M6. I actually am not sure right now if the M7 type skates also have the standard pitch. So this is one topic that I'm gonna investigate further, and I'm gonna also put in the description for all M7 bolts, if it's the standard pitch or not. Because one of the problems that you can have is if you, like, we only have one type of M7 bolt available. Of all the bolts that we have, there's only one that we can buy from skate companies that's M7. So if this one is too short, then you need to buy some other aftermarket M7 bolt. But to know if it will fit, you need to know what kind of pitch it is. I will also list it on our website. So I will investigate this some more. Next topic is the length of the bolts. The length of the bolt is measured not from the top of the screw head, but from where the thread begins, and it's listed with the letter L. So if you have any bolt, most bolts are like L12 or something, or L maybe 14. That's this kind of like a standard size. A really short one is maybe L10. Then this number is the length of the thread. So it does not include the head itself. And the length is actually pretty important. Because obviously if it's too short, it doesn't fit. But if you have a bolt that's too long, it's gonna stick out into your boot. A friend of mine, Brian Bina, he actually bruised his heel while doing a gap, and he bruised his heel because the frame mounting bolt was sticking too much inside his boot. So definitely be aware of this mistake. If you have a bolt that's too long, you can always cut it off. That's kind of like the cheapest way to do it. And if you're cutting off a piece of thread, then I advise you to put a nut, just a regular nut, over the thread, and then saw it off, and then you unscrew that nut. And by unscrewing it, you're like remaking or rebuilding the thread. So otherwise, if you don't do that and you just cut it off, you'll destroy the thread and you'll never be able to mount it again. That's a good tip. All right, next topic is the tools that you can use with your bolts. And we have an entire video about if your tools fail. So if you're ever like struggling with taking out your bolts and your screw head is damaged and you're damaging your bolt, check out that video on our YouTube page about unscrewing damaged screw heads and learn how to take them out. There's two types of tools being used. One is the Allen key and the other is the Torx key. The Allen key is just a perfect rectangular, like with 6 edges tool, and then the Torx has more like edges, so it's also 6 pointed, but it has more like points. Is that a good way to say it? Edges. It has more edges. Never use a Torx tool in an Allen or a normal hex screw, because you'll damage your tool, but more importantly, you'll damage your screw. And if you damage your screw too much, you'll never take it out, unless you, of course, watch our video on how to take it out. But it will be a pain in the ass, and try to avoid that. So if you're going to compare Torx versus Allen, Allen is the most common one. It's also called hex, and so it's like 90% or probably more, like 99% of all the skates used in a regular Allen key. It's a 4mm Allen key. It comes with any IKEA furniture probably. There's also different grades in those tools. We have also a video just about tools, so check that out if you want to learn more about that, because there's definitely better tools and worse tools. But in general, it works fine, but the Allen keys, they damage the bolts just quicker than a Torx. We have a lot of customers coming in the store here with damaged screw heads, but they're never people with Torx. So if you buy like an aftermarket frame mounting bolt and you can choose between a Torx and an Allen, pick the one with the Torx. The only downside into having a Torx is that if you're ever on a session and your bolt is a little bit loose, and you're asking to your friends like, hey, does anybody have a tool that I can use? They will probably only have Allen keys that you can borrow. So you have to carry your own Torx in your backpack if you have Torx on your skate. Let's now do a little bit of history. It's the last topic of today. Back in the day, of course, all frames were just mounted with rivets on the boots. You could not take them off. And then like beginning of the 90s, Roaches had a couple of skates. This was not the first one, but it was the same in a line of skates. So this is the Impala, and you also had the Lowrider. And there's definitely a few more which had the same type of mounting of the frame to the boot. And this was the first one that I know that had like a really replaceable frame system. So that was early 90s. So these were technically kind of like the first frame mounting bolts on the market. Then another interesting thing is the roll bed swinder that's here, because in like the mid to late 90s they started to experiment with different types of frame mounting. And here you can see this one actually has 3 mounting bolts, and it uses Torx and a really big washer. So that's quite advanced. You can also feel that the frame is really well attached to the boot. But funny thing is that with this skate, you can actually unscrew it from the inside and not from the outside. So there has been some experimentation with the frame mounting, but by now it's pretty much standardized into either M6 or M7. There's 3 mounting types. There's universal frame system, 169 mount, and Trinity mount, and that's basically it. If you want to learn more about mounting techniques, we also have an entire video about that, and we make a new video every week. So if you like content like this, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. And if this one's not long enough, or if it's too short, wait, that's double. All right.